President Buhari meets more governors. Security, good governance, and effective service delivery dominate deliberations.
Department of Petroleum Resources on war against illegal liquefied petroleum gas retailers in Abuja.
G8 countries meet in Abuja to discuss health and social protection issues.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall discuss the relationship between state executives and the legislature.
Now, a healthy relationship between the executive and legislative arms of government is generally seen as a key to good governance, which of course is essential to the sustenance of democracy.
Absolutely, Kingsley. Many Nigerians who are aware of politics and its intrigues associated with it are often vocal in their arguments about the best means of achieving good governance in Nigeria, particularly as the country is still basking in the euphoria of celebrating 20 years of unbroken democracy.
You're right, Jumaib, and as spelled out in the Constitution, the executive branch is separate, both in terms of personnel and function, from the state legislature. However, for the purpose of government, the two arms are expected to operate in an atmosphere of relative cordiality. In essence, flexibility, understanding, and cooperation between the two arms of government, that is to say, the executive branch and the legislature, in the process of governance is definitely essential.
You know, Kingsley, since we started the series of democracy in Nigeria on Good Morning Nigeria, many issues have come up, particularly on the topic of state assemblies and 20 years of democracy. The comments from many guests on the relationship with state executives have not been very encouraging.
Well, some of the guests have advocated the need for the lawmakers themselves at the state level to upgrade their legislative skills and knowledge, as well as, of course, a deeper understanding of their constitutional responsibilities. More importantly, it's also been indicated that state assemblies ordinarily should have more elbow room to operate independently without undue influence from the executive branch.
It turns out the guests, who are mainly legislators and public affairs analysts, are very much interested in a change so as to improve the quality of the legislature and persons recruited into state assemblies in the country.
So today we return to the subject again to be the third part of our focus on state legislatures in 20 years of Nigeria's unbroken democracy. Well, of course, we're going to have a number of guests, including persons who have cognate experience as being the chief executives of their state, that's to say, as governors, and also at least one who has had the experience both as a lawmaker at the state level and as well as now being a state chief executive. They will share their views on the issues that we've been trying to look deeper into with regard to the relationship between the two arms of government at the sub-national level. So on that note, we'd like to welcome you to this edition of Good Morning Nigeria. It's another wet day here in the Federal Capital Territory. My name is Kingsley Osadolo.
Actually, a beautiful weather, and I am Juma Yusuf, joining my colleague Kingsley to welcome you to the program this Sunday morning. And as always, we shall bring you the complimentary part of the program, including newspaper review, business, and other items on our list. The news is ready now with Comfort Amadou. Hello, Comfort.
Good morning, Juma and Kingsley. Good morning, Nigeria. Now, issues relating to security of lives and property, good governance and effective service delivery dominated discussions as President Muhammadu Buhari granted audience to two more newly elected governors of the governing APC. The governors were Babagana Umar Zulum of Borno State and his Ogun State counterpart, Dapo Abiodun.
We want to address the root causes of the insurgency, especially the issue of access road, the issue of access to farmlands, and the issue of strengthening our civilian JTFs.
Want to come and extend the appreciation to the president. So we are very appreciative. This man won a valid election, but until date he was not recognized. Today he's back on the map.
Security, job creation, constitutional reform, and human capital development top the agenda of the Nigerian Governors Forum in Abuja. Chairman of the forum, Governor Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State, said this at the forum's meeting.
The forum resolved to propose the setting up of a security committee at the National Economic Council level and retain security as a recurring item on the agenda of the NGF for the foreseeable future.
President Muhammadu Buhari has condemned the current attacks on the people of Kona in Taraba State and ordered security forces to end the violence immediately and decisively. In a statement by Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, the President warned that attacks on innocent people in the name of revenge or whatever motives would not be tolerated by the government. According to the President, no group or people have the right to surround innocent people and unleash murderous violence on them. He explained that nobody should take the law into their own hands because doing so will result in anarchy, which in turn will make everyone unsafe. President Buhari added that in the circle of violence characterized by revenge and counter-revenge, there are no winners. The president criticized leaders that publicly preach the virtues of peace but privately promote hate and intolerance, which ultimately culminate in violent destructions of life and property. The Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, in collaboration with security agencies, is waging war against activities of illegal liquefied petroleum gas, LPG retailers. DPR Zonal Director Buba Abubakar says it is to forestall dangers inherent in mismanagement of cooking gas.
It's not like PMS. So that's why we are very, very, very careful. We put safety first.
And President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawal, says the role of the media will be critical and crucial to the performance of the 9th National Assembly. He was speaking when he granted audience to National Assembly correspondents who were on congratulatory visit. The Senate President advised the media to report the 9th Assembly professionally in the interest of national unity, devoid of sentiment. He promised that the leadership will be all-inclusive and will ensure effective discharge of their oversight function.
No excuse not to work together, not to perform. So we have sought, and by the grace of God and your support, got the office. And it is now the critical time to face the realities.
And the D8 countries have taken a break from their usual discussions on trade and investment cooperation to zero in on health and social protection. This is to meet the rising challenges in health sectors and highlight issues among member countries.
The D8 itself, endorsed the need to have the health and social protection program as a stimulant to enhance economic cooperation.
Health provides a great support for the other sectors, especially in economy.
That's the news for now. Good Morning Nigeria continues in a moment with Kingsley and Jumai after this break.
Since he could hold the bat, Charles wanted to play like his big brother. Victor had skills that matched the best in the land. Never mind, little brother. Drink your Dano milk and keep practicing. So that is what he did. And step by step, glass by glass, the boy grew in spirit and strength. Drink your Dano milk and be strong.
Also available in Dano Cool Cow, Dano Slim, and Dano Flavored Milk. Choose Dano. Choose goodness. NTA Television College Jos announces admissions into 2-year diploma programs in film and television production, television engineering, and broadcast journalism. The sale of forms will commence on the 13th of May and run through 30th July 2019. Admission forms can be obtained from all marketing offices, NTA state capital stations, zonal centers, or at the office of the academic secretary, NTA Television College, Rayfield, Jos.
On payment of a non-refundable fee of 7,500 naira in bank draft in favor of NTA TV College. Applicants can also obtain the forms through the NTA TV College portal at www.ntatvc.edu.nj.
Applicants are required to possess 5 credits in GCE or SSCE in relevant areas of study in not more than 2 sittings, including English and mathematics. All properly completed forms attached with photocopies of credentials must be submitted on or before 30th July 2019. For further inquiries, please visit our website at ntatvc.com or call 0803-3144-383.
NTA TV College, training you to be the best you want to be.
Registrar, Announcer.
Enjoy the best of Africa as NTA, Africa's largest television network and hotspots, Nigeria's foremost sports production and marketing company, bring you all 52 matches of the Africa Cup of Nations, Egypt 2019 live from June 21 to July 19, 2019. Yes, all 52 games will hit your screens in crystal clear digital quality. It's your guarantee of a memorable viewing experience and a wonderful cost-effective opportunity for corporate Nigeria to reach tens of millions of Nigerians. For sponsorship and commercial support, contact Abubakar on 0803-331-0175 and Felix on 0803-308-2375. Hot Sports, masters of the game. NTA, you can't beat the reach.
All right, welcome back. Now it's time for us to take some business stories. And as part of arrangements to boost economic diversification, President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the Central Bank of Nigeria to blacklist palm oil importers in order to restore the gains of that sector economically. The presidential directive also mandates the Apex Bank to provide support for willing business firms and individuals to expand production of some cash crops. Let's get the details from our business correspondent.
Good morning. Good to have you join us on Business News. The Central Bank of Nigeria is working to drive home the anticipated gains of the presidential directive on palm oil. The directive mandated the bank to blacklist importers of palm oil. In the 1950s and 1960s, Nigeria was the global #1 producer of palm oil and controlled about 40% of its global market value.
First of all, the local consumption of palm oil is more than what we can produce today. Besides, you know, palm oil is a very good raw material for so many things. And other byproducts that come from palm oil, like the palm kernel, is good for making soap, is good for animal feed. If government is able to stop import, we need to go into creating more additional land and establish a good variety that can mature quickly, or reproduce a good variety and distribute it at a price or at a rate competitive enough for the planter to be able to establish good acreage.
In tune with his drive to promote non-oil exports to attain economic diversification, the presidential directive also mandated the central bank to provide support to willing business firms and individuals to expand the production of 10 different commodities in Nigeria. This includes rice, maize, fish, cocoa, cotton, tomatoes, cassava, and livestock dairy. Time now to let you see where midweek activities on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange placed market indices. And that's business news at this time. See you again soon.
Thank you, Kolo Mohammed. Time now for newspaper review.
All right, our newspaper reviewer, Bayo Atoyebe, is right here with us in the studios this morning. Bayo, good morning and welcome.
Thank you, Kinsley. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Kinsley.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Good morning, Bayo.
I thought the rains heard that we were mocking it yesterday.
Yes.
They didn't fall after the program.
It descended heavily.
Descended on you this morning, and all of us, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, so Bayo, you're welcome. Okay, Juma, let's begin with you.
Yes, I have the Nigerian pilot, and we'll begin just below the masthead. We have Falana Blast Code of Conduct Bureau for non-disclosure of Buhari governor's assets, says FG not committed to anti-graft war. You find that on page 8. And poverty in Nigeria gives me sleepless nights. That's from Oshubajo. And the bold headline says, religion regulatory bill illegal, says the court. With rider, you can't license pastors. Actions of legislators affront on judiciary. Proposed law violates right to religion association. You also find that on page 8. And then the picture message there, the administrator of the National Judicial Institute, NJI, Justice Rosalind Bazimo, and other people there in the picture during a workshop for judges on legal issues in telecommunications in Enugu yesterday. And below the picture message, no Ebola in Nigeria, coming from the federal government. You find that also on page 8. And at the bottom plate of the Nigerian pilot, man bags life imprisonment for killing dad. You find that on page 7. Catholic priest still missing after paying ransom. On page 11, Buhari reappoints Ahmed Idris as Accountant General of the Federation. You find that on page 6. Senate President's Office not an appanage of the presidency. AMSHI, you find that on page 5. Stop killings of innocent Nigerians, NLC tells FG. You find that on page 3. And at the very, very bottom of the Nigerian pilot, battle for reps minority leader thickens. You find that on page 5.
Right, Bayo, I will discuss the story. There's a public health issue there.
Yes.
Maybe we'll start with that, and then I will return to the Punch newspaper.
Which of the public
That's Ebola.
Ebola. Well, we are lucky we overcame Ebola. And since that time, there has not been Ebola in Nigeria. The recent report, I think, were in Congo. That's where there have been instances of Ebola region. And the last in the West African sub-region was within Liberia and Sierra Leone axis. There's no Ebola as far as we are concerned now in Nigeria. The last concern that was raised was Lassa fever, and that too has been brought under control.
So why the scare? Well, the social media is all filled up with Ebola.
They are similar but different. Lassa fever, they are all caused by purveyors by animals. Ebola by bats and chips in the forest. Lassa fever by rodents. And you know, the danger for us here is that sometimes some of these animals serve as bushmeat. That's why we need to be extra careful about some of these.
Yeah, and Bayo, as Juma was saying, you know, the social media was awash yesterday with all kinds of scary reports with regard to a certain lady who was said to have flown in from the DRC, that's Democratic Republic of Congo, and showed signs, apparent signs of hemorrhagic fever, which could be a mimic of Lassa fever or otherwise. But the lady was said to have been treated, and samples taken from her, and the tests returned negative for Ebola. So even though you've had this outbreak in the DRC, which has been raging for several months now, in fact since last year, with hundreds of persons recorded as fatalities, there is no case of Ebola in Nigeria. You recall, you know, what happened in 2014, and of course the role that Good Morning Nigeria played in that in terms of public enlightenment. All right, so let's return to other headlines, this time from the Punch newspaper. The front page is pretty busy. Above the nameplate of the Punch newspaper, 3 headlines. Federal government to borrow $2.7 billion foreign loan this year. Federal government to borrow 2.7 billion naira foreign loans this year, and that's attributed to Debt Management Office. Details on page 33. Economy is still fragile. Manufacturers Association of Nigeria tells Buhari. Nigeria trapped in low growth path, says Moody's. That's one of the ratings agencies. Details are inside the paper. You have no right to license preachers, tells Kaduna government. And in lead story, it says with Sekika, Boko Haram resurgence, PDP, SERAP, CDHR attack Bureta, that is Chief of Army Staff, for blaming soldiers. With the rider, SAC, COS, and other service chiefs, opposition, Yakasai tell Buhari. COS stands for Chief of Army Staff, and of course other service chiefs. The opposition at Yakasai telling Buhari. Now, you have 2 photographs there on the front page, with a caption and a headline. Suspected robbers and kidnappers were arrested in military fatigues, paraded at the SARS office in Abuja yesterday, Wednesday. With the headline, we collected 200 million naira ransom in 6 months, says suspected kidnapper. That's on page 3. Now, other headlines there on the front page. Jailing corrupt people, a waste of time, says Sage. Sage is chairman of the Presidential Anti-Corruption Committee. Immunity prevented us from probing Ganduje. That's according to the Anti-Graft Agency. That's page 9. Otedola sells shares in Forte Oil, page 34. 3 arrested as abducted ex-minister's son regains freedom. And son backs life imprisonment for killing father in Akwa Ibom. Pastor should tell Nigerians why he shunned Democracy Day. That's attributed to the presidency. It is on page 3. Ayo.
Yes, let's start with challenges with banditry, kidnapping, and criminality, as well as successes in that line. The president has warned that attacks on innocent people in the name of revenge, for whatever motive, will not be tolerated. And therefore, the president says that no group of people have the right to surround innocent people and unleash murderous, vicious action on them. He ordered that security agencies should decisively end the current attack on Kona people in the outskirts of Jalingo. He said resorting to self-help is an invitation to anarchy. It makes everyone unsafe, and it creates a cycle of violence by revenge and counter-revenge, and there are no winners in such circumstances. The president also lamented that leaders have abandoned their responsibility and are now allowing talks to set the agenda and this is very, very, very dangerous. Gunmen had attacked Kona communities and Mumuye communities within the outskirts of Jalingo on Monday and Tuesday. Related to that is bandits have waylaid a commercial bus in Eweku and kidnapped all the 14 passengers in River State. This happened along the east-west road, and the bandits are reported to have led the passengers into the bush. The police have recovered the abandoned bus and are now on the track on the criminals. Tracking criminals, the police high command yesterday paraded 37 kidnappers suspects. Among them is one who revealed that in the course of 6 months, they have made 200 million. And you can see how they are encouraged to continue with that criminality. He says in one instant, a ransom of 100 million cash was collected. He operated mainly in Niger and Kebbi states, and his boss, the person he calls his master, he says operates in Sokoto. He revealed that they are often contacted by informants who give them kidnapping jobs, and they move around across states to carry out their nefarious activities. The police have a strategy to smoke them out. What they have done now is to cut off all their supplies and use that as a strategy to smoke them out. Talking about smoking them out, the police in Adamawa also paraded 86 kidnappers they have arrested, as well as 65 cult members known as Yanshila in Yola. This was because Governor Amadou Finturi gave them a charge that they should rid the state of criminals. They were arrested in Mayo Belwa and one other local government area in Adamawa State. So there has been some tremendous success. Now, talking about the report that you read on from the pilot, Kaduna State High Court has ruled that it is irreligious and for a bill that Kaduna State government is proposing to regulate screen and licensed preachers. The court ruled that the law is incongruous with the 1999 Constitution and therefore illegal. The judge frowned that, despite of the case that has been filed since 2016, the state government and the legislature still went ahead to continue to discuss and continue to propose that law. He said it was a disregard for the court. But there's another human interest story. A quack doctor has succeeded in killing 15 persons as a surgeon before he was arrested in Adamawa State. He was operating in the two local government areas of the state, Mayo Belwa and Fufore local government area. He's said to have a qualification of National Board for Technical Education, and he supported that with other forged documents, and he has operated over a period of 10 years before he was identified. Governor Amadu Fitre has lamented that there is going to set up a committee to sanitize the health sector, and he has vowed that that chap will face the wrath of the law.
Amazing and shocking. You know how he could have gone ahead, but every day for the thief, yes, and one day for the owner, it is said, as a surgeon. So I don't know, but there are a number of issues arising from that. Bayo, we'll take that. But the police have to be commended for the successes they have recorded lately in arresting suspected kidnappers. You recall the other time, it's some 96 or so of them, yes, who were said to have been operating along the Abuja-Kaduna highway. And now you have 30-something, Adamawa 80-something. 86. 86, and elsewhere in different parts of the country, you also have arrests. That will give
87
you...
was arrested in bandits in Sokoto, Kasina area of recent.
That will give you an indication of the extent of the problem. It would appear that you have hundreds of persons who are engaged in kidnapping. Hundreds. This is not just a small number of, bands of bandits or bands of kidnappers operating in one location and then moving to another location. If you add up these numbers of those who have been arrested, it tells you the scale of the challenge that the security agencies are having to deal with.
And I think, Kisley, these people being caught, I think they are just the foot soldiers.
It would appear to be so.
Yes, because 200 million and they look that wretched. I think that are questions we need to ask.
This one revealed that he has a boss in Sokoto that they report to. And from all the other information coming out, it will seem as if they are well organized. Yeah. In the forest where they have camps, several camps, and they move between camps. Yeah. And they seem to have properly organized.
All right, let's take one or two headlines from the leadership before we come to the editorial.
Yes, the leadership newspaper will take one or two headlines because time is just going. CBN faults report on banks' financial support to FG. NNPC archives 2.3 barrels per day production. You find that on page 25. And suicide. FG restricts sale, use of sniper. Orders dealers to withdraw products from market. Reactions trail directive. And the picture message there, Kogi Monarch 6 PMBs, that's President Muhammadu Buhari's support for Bello's re-election. Urged President to resuscitate Ajaokuta steel plant.
Yeah, Bayo, let me take the editorial, and then you comment on the outstanding stories on the editorial. The editorial is taken from Daily Trust newspaper, and it's at page 44, as Lawan and Bajabi Amila take over.
Right. Just before I go to the editorial, quickly about two issues about suicide. National Agency for Food and Drug Administration has advised that the 10 million liter sniper should be withdrawn from markets and supermarkets. It also gives a warning that they are meant for agro-pesticides and they are not meant for domestic use. This is because there is a tendency for some people to use it for suicide, and therefore NAFDAC is frowning strongly at it. Also, UNICEF has identified that young boys and girls are being used as suicide bombing, and it must stop. They observed that between the year 2016, as many as 48 children, 38 girls, 10 boys were used as suicide attackers. And so something has to be done about these despicable things. Now talking about the National Assembly, the editorial is simply saying that now that the main leadership of the National Assembly have emerged, that is the Senate President and Deputy Senate President, the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker, anytime from now, the minority and majority leaders will come, and then the leadership of the National Assembly will be composed. Now the editorial is saying that the National Assembly should not detract from its legislative powers, that of making laws, that of appointments, approving appointments, oversight of ministries, departments, and agencies, and also, and they stand in very good stead because they observe that the experience that Ahmed Lawan is bringing to the seat of the Senate presidency is enormous because he's been within the corridors of the National Assembly since 1999. Femi Gbajabiamila is also described as an encyclopedia of the House of Representatives, and therefore the editorial is saying that this should be brought to bear on their legislative functions and also improve the relationship with the executive so that they can collectively move the nation forward.
Hopefully. Thank you so much, Bayo.
Thank you
for coming on Good Morning Nigeria. We'll take a break right now. The program continues in a moment.
They are there at the crack of dawn. They are there busy preparing while we rise for our day. They are there silently, guarding, waiting, listening, and watching. They are there ready in the sky above and the waters below, in the blistering heat of the day, in the dead of night, willing, indefatigable, determined in the defense of the sovereignty of our country. They are our first line of defense and our last. They who have paid the ultimate price in defending us. They are fathers and uncles. They are mothers and sisters and girlfriends and boyfriends. They are brothers and cousins and best friends and neighbors. They are classmates, colleagues, and citizens of this nation. They are our defenders and deserve our respect, our prayers, our thoughts. Nigeria, please support our armed forces.
One football confederation, 24 teams, 6 stadiums, 4 cities, 504 African stars, 1 trophy. The Africa Cup of Nations, Egypt 2019 comes alive from June 21 with the showpiece final on July 19, 2019. Watch the 52 matches of the tournament live on Africa's biggest and largest television network, NTA, in partnership with Hot Sports. Be part of the biggest soccer fiesta in the African continent as the Super Eagles go on a bold mission to clinch the prestigious title for the 4th time, to the excitement of millions of fans across the length and breadth of Nigeria. Nigeria's premier sports production and marketing group, Hot Sports, partners with the biggest, the largest, and the #1 television network in Africa, the NTA, to give Nigerians a memorable viewing experience. Boost fan support for the Super Eagles to glory in Egypt. For inquiries, please contact Abubakar on 0803-331-0175 and Felix on 0803-308-2375. NTA, you can't beat the rich.
Advertising your goods and services on the right channel gives you an edge over your competitors. NTA News 24 has all the platforms for your target audience. The station is on DSTV channel 419, GoTV channel 46, StarTimes channel 101, and Free TV channel 703. With our digital format and wide range, we can reach your customers in next to no time. We are eager to promote your business, goods, and services. So, partner with us for a very rewarding business experience. For more information, please call Henry on 0803-379-0884 or visit our office at NTA Headquarters, Area 11, Garki, Abuja. NTA News 24. News and more news.
All right, welcome back here. And still, Good Morning Nigeria, reaching you live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Now, to set the tone for our conversation this morning, which is part 3, as it were, of the performance of the state legislatures in 20 years of our democracy, and therefore focusing on the relationship between the executive and legislative branches of government, let's listen in to some of the comments from guests who spoke on the issue yesterday, which was the second installment of the conversation. It's put together by our correspondent, Oyemi Ajayi.
issue is that the laws are not there. So some of these acts are criminalized in our statute books. The Constitution makes some of these things impeachable offenses. But let a house conceive, think, not to utter that they want to impeach the governor. They may never sit again. A House of Assembly in Nigeria did not sit for more than a year or two, and nothing happened. And people were going, somebody passed a budget with less than 5 legislators. In Nigeria, we are here, implemented the budget until he handed over. And nobody has taken him to book, to an account. And the person will go on to assume higher responsibilities. And another legislature will clear that person when he's nominated as a minister.
During the time of our own tenure in the 7th Assembly, we are not allowed to perform as expected. Reason, any little things, we have to contact the governor, and if he like, he may provide it. If he don't like, he may not. And this makes us not to be able to perform. That is why we in the 7th Assembly, we decided that we will not listen to any governor, not to participate in looking for autonomous. If governor say this is what he wants, and you say no, he will not allow you to get even your allowances, your running costs. He may delay it.
Yesterday, we had an example in one of the states in the Northeast. I wouldn't want to mention the state. The governor influenced one of his errand boys to be the Speaker of the State House of Assembly. And as a matter of fact, that Speaker was not an educated person. The members went to the governor to complain that this person you appointed as our Speaker cannot preside over the House. He's not educated, he's not experienced. The governor sent for the Speaker to come. When the Speaker came and met him in the office, the governor asked the Speaker to write his name. The Speaker wrote his name. He said, you should pronounce the name. He pronounced it. He said, you see, it means you can read. And your colleagues are saying that you cannot read, that you are not intelligent, that you should just go back and do your work. And that's how it continued. So in that kind of circumstance, what do you expect the state legislature to do? At a point in...
Now joining us in the studio to discuss state executive and legislature relationship is Simon Lalong, Executive Governor of Plateau State. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Good morning, brother.
Also here with us is Idris Wada, former Governor of Kogi State. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Joey.
All right, and then we have with us here in the Abuja studios a regular face on Good Morning Nigeria Public Affairs Analyst Jide Ojo. Jide, thank you for being with us this morning.
Good morning, Nigerians.
Okay, you look gubernatorial this morning, as I said a while ago.
Or royal.
So it's gubernatorial. It's gubernatorial, you know. And from our Kaduna Network Center, we are being joined by Honorable Muhammad Ali, not the boxer that you used to know, but he was a minority leader of the Kaduna State House of Assembly from 2011 to 2015. Honorable Ali, pleasure to have you with us on the program.
It's my pleasure, Kingsley. Good morning, Nigerians.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's a full cast that we have here. And just, you know, by the way, the governor of Plateau State, who is now into his second term in office, was also a speaker of the Plateau House of Assembly. So he's often referred to as Right Honorable Simon Lalong, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Plateau State. Once again, a pleasure to have you with us on the program.
Thank you.
And, of course, the former governor of Kogi State, Idris Wada, is an airline pilot, so it's Captain Idris Wada. I recall that I used to enjoy his flights in those days when he was on EAS. Today, of course, we are discussing the issue of the relationship between the state legislature and the executive branch, trying to evaluate the performance of the state legislature in 20 years. And happily, the governor of Plateau has the experience of two arms of government. Now, the predominant opinion is that in 20 years, we have state legislatures that have no mind of their own, because they have been emasculated by the executive branch of government, creating a situation where you have, it is said, if one wants to be charitable, two arms of government, as it were, at the state level, unlike what you have at the federal level, which is three. And some, in extreme cases, will say you have only just one arm of government at the state level, namely the executive. What's your reaction?
Well, Kingsley, let me thank you very much for another opportunity, and also to thank God that we are back again on the saddle. I was, first of all, when you mentioned 2 arms, I will say that I belong to the 3, because as a practicing lawyer and also as an official of the Nigerian Bar Association, I served the Nigerian Bar Association as an official. So the 3 arms, both the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature, I've been part of it. I've been part of it. Now, I was speaker in my state, and the longest service speaker, about 7 years, before I became governor. I think the last part of the years were the period that I was chased out of office. Not removed, but chased out of office with armored tank by the former president, Obasanjo, or former president Obasanjo. Now, I will say that, first of all, we started in 1999. I don't want to talk about the period before 1999. And the 1999 Constitution came. And when it came, we started. I'm very happy that we started with a crop of speakers, very, very determined, very hard-working speakers. Governor Amechi was, the Honorable Minister, was a speaker. Mamora was a speaker, and a few of them. And what we did was that, first of all, to ensure that we build up the system, we must even create the Speakers Forum. That is where you saw the Speakers Forum today. We had the Speakers Forum, and that Speakers Forum was, first of all, to ensure that there were proper education at the state level of the roles of speakers in the Houses of Assembly. But I will say that, unfortunately, there are so many factors that will say that are responsible for this. Sometimes people contest to go to House of Assembly. They don't even know or to even appreciate why they are going into House of Assembly. They see the legislature as the executive. You want to make money, you don't need to go to House of Assembly. But you want to make a career, you go to House of Assembly. But people move to the House of Assembly and assure their constituents from campaign promises that if I get there, I will award contract, I will do appointments. So it's the kind of thing that you tell people will also make them to request to put that burden on you, to put that burden on you. So I will say that yes, the executive had been existing, even during the military, but when the legislature came up, it requires proper education. It requires a lot of patience for them to meet up with the other 2 arms of government, the judiciary and the executive. So to allow yourself in that way, you also need, because what the impression, very wrong impression given, sometimes is that when somebody gets into the House of Assembly and elected, because in most cases are brought up by godfathers, the first thing you will do is that, look, what you are going to do is that be sure that you prepare yourself, get equipped, so that one day you will impeach the governor. And that kind of impression will create friction between the executive right from the onset. And that is why you see when people come in the election of speakers or principal officers, you see a lot of rancor here and there, people fighting up and down. But if you believe and you know right from the beginning that what you are going to do is complementary, because you need each other. And the most important thing is that the development of the state is very paramount, because each of you were elected. The governor was elected. The legislators were also elected. So I had my share of that kind of problem when I came on board. Of course, you remember the impeachment saga, the impeachment saga. I stood the ground because, yes, I was that time the chairman of the Conference of Speakers, and we had preached about the sanctity of the legislative actions. And the sanctity of legislative actions will also go along with constitutional procedures. So it was wrong for us to say that you wake up one day and you ask 6 members out of 24 members to impeach a governor, when the Constitution provides for 2/3. And so the test at that time was from me. And that time I was chairman of the Conference of Speakers. I did my best to start to protect the legislature at that time. And to say that, yes, I cannot do an unconstitutional act. Yes, it is right. The Constitution provides that if a governor is wrong, you impeach him. But there are procedures for impeachment. And again, if a governor is wrong, there are procedures that will generate the impeachment. And that thing, if there are allegations, you come to the House of Assembly to prove your allegation, you prove your allegation, and it is impeached. But to just write an allegation on the pages of newspapers and then you move and say, no, impeach a governor on the same day is wrong. Is wrong. At the same time, it is also very wrong, I will say, that a governor will continue after election of principal officers to say that you have domineering effect on what they are doing on the floor of the House. I think when you create that kind of atmosphere, you see a very harmonious relationship. I had no fear. I mentioned it here that when I was elected in 2014 or 2015, the majority of the members were from the other side, were from the opposition. Many of them were from PDP. I came from APC. But because of understanding, they came themselves and said, look, take the speaker, we'll take deputy speaker. We took the speaker, and they took the deputy speaker. And after a while, by the time they finished office, out of 13 members of PDP, only 6 were left because the rest flowed with me. They came on board with me. Now today, a few days, I would say last week, when they were doing election for speakers, I did not interfere too much into it. I was here in Abuja. Now I asked them, I said, look.
You had no remote control.
I had no remote control. No, I didn't want, because that is usually the beginning of the problem. Yeah. Because even the one that you are putting there, there's no guarantee that the man will be loyal to you. Because he's one among equals. This is the head. He's like a monitor, a class monitor. He's answerable to them. As executive today, I'm not answerable to my members of the executive, always. But as speaker, you are answerable to the members. You must always dance to their tune. And so allow them some kind of independence to decide their leadership. Otherwise, you continue to have frequent changes of leadership. So what I did was I asked them, I said, look, who do you want? They said, look, I had a meeting with them. I said, tell me the person you want. I don't want to tell you this is the person I prefer, because tomorrow you will say the governor imposed a candidate on us. They told me, yes, this is the person they wanted. And I moved to the other side. That's the opposition. The opposition said, look, we don't want rancor. If PDP decides that these are their, APC decides that these are their leaders, we PDP will support, because we know you. We know you with a lot of experience. You continue, we don't want to have any rancor. So at the end of the day, they got to the floor of the House, and it was PDP, the minority, that nominated the speaker, supported by the APC. And when they got into the deputy speaker again, the PDP nominated the APC again, and supported by the APC. So that kind of arrangement, that means that to me, I'm very comfortable that whatever we're going to do is look and focus on developments in the state, not on the political parties at that time, but also be sure that whatever they want, I will do it. Now I'm talking about autonomy. We started the issue of autonomy.
All right, Your Excellency, we'll pause you in the meantime, and we'll return. Autonomy is one aspect. You just talked about recruitment issues, and then, of course, giving a free hand to the lawmakers to make their own choices of their principal officers. Do you mind?
Yes, Idris Wada, Governor Lalong raised some pertinent issues. You were governor of Kogi State, which has a peculiar kind of politics played out there. Yes. So can you tell us the experience and your relationship between you and the State Assembly when you were governor?
Yes, thank you very much, and good morning, Nigerians. Mine was a very unique experience. From the day I came in by a judgment of the Supreme Court, I was not... We had, after the election, there is a cooling period before you are sworn in. But there was an ongoing case between 5 governors on tenure elongation. The Supreme Court came one day like thunder and struck and said, look, your tenure has ended. Swear in speakers immediately in some of the states. But in my case, uniquely, I was a governor in waiting. I was already a governor-elect. And there was the issue of whether the speaker should take over or I should be sworn in. And, you know, anything that is legal, lawyers have different opinions and perspectives of looking at this. My predecessor insisted that once there is a governor-elect, he should be sworn in rightly. But the Speaker and the Chief Judge said his own interpretation is that Speaker should be sworn in. So there were arguments here, and eventually I was sworn in, and we had to come to Abuja to resolve. So and the Speaker then was eager to be sworn in. And you know, because of the nature of our state, there are tribal issues and zonal issues. So I started from a point of conflict. But as His Excellency said, the relationship between the three arms of government should be driven by human relations approach. You have to win the confidence of each other. The three arms are basically, according to the frameworks of our Constitution, equal partners for national development. The executive has money. The governor is elected by votes from all the local governments in the state. The legislators are from their own state constituencies or local government. So the governor, of course, being a superintendent of the whole state, has more powers, at least from the public perception of the extent of powers. So I started from a point of conflict, but I appealed to the Speaker that we are here for the development of our state. Whether you are the governor, whether I'm the governor, we must work together to move the state forward. And some of the legislators understood. Of course, we came to Abuja to resolve the issues finally with the Vice President, because the President was out of the country at the time. And from that point on, I kept trying the best I could to ensure that we must join hands to move the state forward. I was open, I was transparent, I was respectful, and continuously, you have nocturnal meetings to try and sort out critical issues outside the public purview to win confidence. And I thank God that over the 4 years, I was able to work closely with the legislators. You know, they are there for development of their own constituencies. And I work with them to try and ensure that projects go to their various constituencies and we work together in the best interests of the state. So tolerance, patience, human relations approach to issues, not dictatorial. I would say a friendly leader. I thank God for the opportunity, and therefore I don't carry power on my head. I believe that we are all equal before God, and we should relate as human beings with each other with that approach. And that's how I was able to navigate my way. Of course, being a pilot, navigation was second nature to me. So that's how I was able to manage our relationship. And I thank God for the level of success that we achieved during my tenure.
Okay, we'll return to you. Just to remind our viewers that when we had the first part of this conversation on Tuesday, the Speaker of the Kogi House of Assembly, at the material time to which the former governor was referring to, that's Honorable Bello, was one of our guests, and he actually sat where Captain Idris Wada is sitting now, and he also related or narrated the interaction that he had with the governor and how the matter was resolved in Abuja. But we'll come back to the nitty-gritty of the workaday issues of the legislature in terms of interaction with the executive branch. Let's go over now to Kaduna Network Center, where we earlier introduced the former minority leader of the Kaduna House of Assembly from 2011 to 2015, Honorable Muhammad Ali. Honorable Muhammad Ali, I mean, as I said in posing my first question, there is a widespread view that state houses of assembly in 20 years of the Fourth Republic have demonstrated or have been forced into such a situation that they have no mind of their own, with the many implications of that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kingsley. The implication of members of the Houses of Assembly across the nation not having a mind of themselves boils down to the selection process. Selection process in the sense that from the party level, there is the absence of internal party democracy in terms of the electing or nominating representatives of the people that will represent various state constituencies in the state houses of assembly. That is one. Then secondly, the lack of proper vetting of candidates brought by various political parties. The agency responsible for the vetting of candidates, to my mind, are not doing the best they can, because we have situations where elected members have not met the constitutional requirement that provides that any member or intending member who wants to contest, even for the position of a councillorship, must have attained the secondary school qualification. At least he or she must have attended secondary school. But as I speak today, Mr. Kingsley, we have sitting members who have not gone through primary school. How do they get certificates given to them? And the agency responsible for vetting, how far have they gone in actually doing proper background checking to ascertain the genuinity of the certificates some of these candidates put forward? This is why you have, for a period of 4 years, people who call themselves members, they are only in the assembly warming their seats. They cannot talk. Some find it even very hard to introduce themselves in the floor of the House at plenary. So this essentially is what has created the problem we're having today. Because most of the members, to my mind, actually lack the courage of conviction, and that lacking the courage of conviction boils out of the fact that most of them are not educated. Because somebody who has not gone to primary school and you bring him into the House of Assembly to legislate and make laws, for goodness sake, what laws do we want such people to make? Does he in the first place even understand the working of the Constitution? The answer is no. So until we go back to the drawing board and correct these anomalies, we'll continue to plunder left, right, and center. This is my position, Mr. Kingsley.
All right. Come to her now.
Okay. I would like you to expatiate. People are voted into this office. They went to campaigns, they were elected, and now they're in the House of Assembly. Both of them elected separately from the executive. So why is there friction between the executive and the House of Assembly in some cases in some states?
In some states, as you said, Jumai, simply because there are certain governors who want to, or who are acting as warlords. They want to be very domineering, so they want to dominate the legislature from performing its functions. This essentially is the problem. And some of these governors are succeeding because their houses of assembly are inhabited by people that actually are ill-prepared or ill-equipped to be members of the House of Assembly, because they cannot carry out the functions of legislation as correctly defined by the Constitution. And again, because of what I said, the lack of preparation. Preparation here may also include lack of functional education for them to be able to work as legislators and give the people they are representing the proper representation that is deserving of them. And mark you, the legislature is supposed to be an independent arm of government that is supposed to be enacting law for good governance. And of course, the exercise of oversight functions on the activities of the executive arm of government. But why you have people who don't know what they are doing, or they don't even know in the first place why are they in the House of Assembly? So you wouldn't expect anything. And this is why some of these governors are finding it very easy to dominate their assemblies. And added to that, some of the members lack courage of conviction simply because some of them are only working for the interests of their godfathers who sponsor their election into the House of Assembly. So theirs is only to be yes men. Whatever the executive wants, they allude to it. Until we are able to break away from all such things, we'll continue to have problem. People in the assembly must look forward and look straight and call a spade a spade. But where they reduce themselves to the errand boys of a sitting governor, then we'll continue to have problem.
We'll return to you at our Kaduna Network Center. Now let's bring in Jide Ojo. Jide Ojo, straight away, what are your comments on the performance of state lawmakers in 20 years of our democracy against the background of the comments by the other guests?
Well, my own take is that I think vis-a-vis what happens at the national level, a lot of capacity building that the federal lawmakers enjoy, many of the state lawmakers do not enjoy such. There are international agencies that struggle, compete to build the capacity of federal lawmakers, sending them abroad, bringing resource persons, giving them induction. I don't know whether your excellencies that are here, if at all, there were anything of such, to enable them know what their roles and responsibilities are. Because in situations where you are just there, you are just like pilot, you are flying blind, you don't even know what your roles and responsibilities are. It will be easy for you to be manipulated. It will be easy for you to be I'm surprised, and you will be surprised to know that many of the state members of House of Assembly may not even have a copy of the Constitution, let alone knowing what their roles and responsibilities are. How many of them knows the House rule by heart? Some of them have been there 2-3 tenors. But they are just like the Honorable in Kaduna said, bench warmers. And that is one, lack of capacity building for them. Two is issue of godfather politics. In many instances, it's even, it's like bandwagon. When the party is campaigning, they kind of do a vote for this person as governorship and then vote for these people alongside as members of State House of Assembly. Incidentally, if you look at the sequence of election, the election of governors and State House of Assembly takes place on same day. Like in 2019 now, we have state elections the same day, March 9. So the bandwagon effect that we are voting for APC, we are voting for AGBA, we are voting for PDP. So people are not very discerning to even examine the credentials of the person that they are voting into the State House of Assembly. Many of them don't even have their posters. And if they do have one, you will see, if you look at the campaign posters you often see, you see that of the president very big, the governors come next in size, then you see State House of Assembly members. So there's this thing that is working in their favor in the state, the bandwagon effect that gets them into power, aside the fact that some of them were actually stooges of godfathers in their respective states. In some instances, it's even the governor that will sponsor the election of some of these people. So he who pays the piper dictates the tune. The moment you are the one that sponsors the election of somebody, then you become manipulative of that person. You say, okay, this is the position you must take on any issue. So I'm of the opinion that aside the fact that academic qualification, which again, the constitutional have played, and I heard my colleague from Kaduna saying many of them are not literate enough. From yesterday, somebody said a speaker was alleged not to have competence, academic competence. And the governor asked him, can you write your name? He wrote it. He said, why are they saying that you are not educated? So
he also pronounced the name.
He also pronounced the name. So you can see how we have trivialized the importance of education. The Excellency here from Plateau said, you know, one is a lawyer, two is he was fortunate to be a Speaker of State House of Assembly. Even when he was approached to commit an infraction on the Constitution, he was able to stoutly resist that, which actually cost him his office, his exalted office, but thank God he's now back as and you can see the wealth of experience coming to play, that now that he has served both at legislative level and executive level, he was able to, using the word of Captain Idris, that navigate the landmines and have a very good working relationship. The third and the final point I will make is the overbearing attitude of some of the state executives themselves, believing that if they don't muzzle these people, they will never get anything done within the state. So you can hear the complaint of the president saying that he doesn't have the cooperation of the last speaker and the last president of the Senate. So copying from that, many of the governors want yes men who will not stand in their way in whatever they want to do. They want the budget passed within a week, and we have seen it happen. A budget is laid before the assembly on Tuesday. By Thursday, they are returning it to the Excellency. Oh, we have done. Nothing is changed. No word removed. And we can also not underplay the role of corruption in what is happening. Because many of these people, maybe because of the huge resources they spend on their elections, wanting to recoup their investment, goes into negotiation there with their state executive to say, Your Excellency, this budget, there must be something in it for us. I've run myself a grant campaigning. I want some money. So the governor, of course, in some instances, when they are blackmailed to do so, will concede. And because of the pecuniary interest of these state members of this State House of Assembly, they eventually look the other way, while the governor becomes, engages in acts of recklessness. And we have seen all of these things that I say playing out in many states in different shapes and form. Whereas you just see that once the governor said this is the way, everybody follows in line. And we saw that in the 2010 amendment of the Constitution, where even the Speaker of the Conference of Speakers came on the floor of the National Assembly to say, no, we didn't vote for autonomy of State House of Assembly. And you know, there was a debate about whether they met the threshold of 2/3, 24 states. And I recall that it was the Taraba State Speaker who was the chairperson of Conference of Speakers of State House of Assembly. And he came, and they put the question to him, did you have 24 or 23? He said, we have 23. And that was when they lost that opportunity to gain autonomy until this last amendment that took place in 2018, which has now reversed that. But let's see. It's been about a year now since that new legislation has been signed into law. How much dynamism have we seen, even in State House of Assembly?
Very pertinent question there that you're landing with, Jude Ojo. And Your Excellency, you were already going to take off on the autonomy perspective.
Yes.
There's been a general complaint that to the extent that State House of Assembly have no control over their finances, unlike what you have at the National Assembly or for the judiciary, they will continue to remain appendages of the state executive.
Yes. Well, I think, thank you very much for that. Even when we started the issue of autonomy, I think it was very, very difficult because in some states there were no understanding between the executive and the judiciary. Now, to some executive when you talk about autonomy for the legislature, they think that no, giving them enormous powers, that one day they wake up and start impeaching. I had occasion to meet with 2 governors at that time when I was chairman of the conference, to move to the state to explain to them that this autonomy is not all about it will reduce the tension on you, for them running to you every time to ask for this, ask for that. Allow them to also run their budget, to also run their budget. And you understood with me, and that was the creation. At that time, they were establishing the Service Commission. But unfortunately, I must say, just like Jide said, the members of the state legislators are not themselves ready to understand, to even be educated on some of these issues. I woke up of night and you see people say, we want autonomy. And you ask them, what is the autonomy? They don't know. All they believe is that, yes, autonomy means that you are going to send huge sums of money to them, and then they will share the money and do whatever they want with the money. I said, no, you are wrong. In the first place, you must also prepare yourself for autonomy. We started this as far as 1999, when we initiated the issue of our autonomy. Even when they fell at that time, we were already out of office. We formed the conference of former speakers to assist them, to continue to assist them pursue the issue of autonomy. And that time, and today, again, I'm privileged because I was a governor when the issue of autonomy came to the governors. So some governors said, no, we didn't want. But at the end of the day, we were able to educate them, because at that stage, we had 3 former speakers who were members of, who are now governors. Myself, Governor Masari, and Governor Tambuwal. Excuse me. Tambuwal were there. So we were able to explain to them, and they understood. That's why this autonomy fell through. So now it's approaching on how to implement the autonomy. First, let me say, and I had occasion with some speakers recently, and they came and said, no, we want this thing implemented. I said, implementing what? How is this going to be implemented? They don't understand. I said, do you have a service commission in your place? He said, no. I said, then you are wrong. What do you think about autonomy when you don't have service commission? Who is going to implement? Who is going to manage the finances? You think that as a speaker, they will take money and give it to you, and you start sharing it like that? With the anti-corruption crusade that we have, you will end up having no member of the House, because all of them will be prosecuted, and they will be jailed. So those of us who started this did not say that we are bringing it so that you start sharing money. The concept of it is that you must have an independent, just like even the judiciary. We need a lot of education at the judiciary for them to understand the concept of autonomy, of that autonomy. Autonomy means that, yes, you have a service commission that is done in the National Assembly. Every money that comes into the House through the budget, a percentage of it is taken to the House, is taken to the judiciary. Now, you now put in a concept of management, proper management, accountability, and financial probity. Otherwise, what the impression that is given now in the state is that the day the president signed this thing, is hallelujah. Everybody said now we are going to be shared, we are going to be seeing money. I said, you are wrong. This will also entail that you start some education. You start some continuing education. And for members of the state legislature, you have to learn, whether you like it or not. Otherwise, you continue to be rubber stamp, because you don't even understand what is given to you. You must learn. You must learn. And so that concept of autonomy, it must also be understood by them, so that you know that the money that is going into your place on monthly basis is properly utilized. Otherwise, the society is also waiting for you outside. The society is waiting for you outside to understand whether you are using the money. And I told them, I said, for me, it's the most difficult time for you as speakers to even get autonomy. It's the most difficult time for you, especially speakers at this time. Wow. Because I'm sorry, you will have, if you don't sit down, be patient to understand, you will have frequent turnover of speakers. Because on every day, if people are used to money here and there, they don't see money because of implementation of of autonomy. They will wake up and say, no, we're changing speakers. But you continue to change the speakers without changing the law. So you've not done anything. At the end of the day, everybody will be speaker in the place, but you will not be able to implement. And so because of that, as former speakers, we try to even link up with them because I'm still the chairman. I've so told them that I'm a governor, I don't want to be chairman of former speakers. They said you must continue to be former speakers. So at that level, and I think the difference between that and this time is that when we came in 1999, there were a lot of summits, there were a lot of lectures. And I think we must also thank the international community because at that time, USIG, a lot of organizations were organizing summit for all of us because they wanted to entrench this democracy. Everywhere we are doing workshops. Here and there, every time they're calling you for workshops. So within that category, the regime of that time of speakers, well, many of them were educated. And by that too, we wanted the governors to understand. So what we are saying here, we also want to appeal to the governors. Instead of looking at them as enemies, what you do is try to educate them. Try to create opportunities for them for workshops and summit so that they can understand. Otherwise, even somebody that is not well educated, like you said, even at the secondary school level, through education, the man will appreciate and understand why he's going into that place. But let him not think that he's going there to grab his own portion. Tomorrow you go back and then you see a problem from coming from your place, or what you do because you don't understand what the governor is bringing. Because budgets, there are periods where you have a harmony in preparation of budget. I introduced it in my house and it worked. Even when I was speaker, I told the governor, I said, look, instead of allowing members to sit down and work on the budget after preparation, these people are elected by their constituencies. Why don't you involve them from the beginning? Why don't you involve them from the beginning? Yes. And he agreed with me and he said, okay, let's set up committees. Outside the budget department, we set up committees. And from the beginning, everybody brought in his constituency requests, and they started from the beginning to the end of the budget. And at the time we finished, we passed the budget was prepared by Mr. Governor. When he came to the House of Assembly, it didn't take us 1 week to pass the budget. It is not the length of time, but also the understanding. Because the speed, because at that time, no member questioned anything. By the time the budget came to the floor of the House, everybody was involved, and everything was inclusive. And so the budget was passed within 1 week, the first time. So some people criticize and say, why are you passing budget for 1 week? I said, what is wrong with the budget? First of all, look at it and see what is wrong with the budget, not the period of the passage of the budget. And so that kind of harmony is what we are expecting between governors. And even at this stage, I sometimes call governors and tell them, he's fighting with his members. I say, why are you fighting with your members? Why are you fighting with your members? All these members are supposed to work with you, even if they are elected by their godfathers. There are so many things you can do in the floor to the members. The relationship, cultivate a good relationship, and the man is no longer answerable to his godfather. He's answerable to the state. He's answerable to the constitution that brought him on the floor to the House of Assembly. But from day one, when you begin to antagonize him, he sees you as an enemy too.
Yes, I would like to cut you there because other guests have to contribute too. You know, you talked about education and educating the legislature. Idris Wada, there's a change, there's a shift from 1999. And, you know, Nigerians are becoming more aware. More people are coming in, educated people, trying to come into office via the ballot. So I feel that there's a change in the narrative of how the state assemblies now will be run. Because I see some state assemblies having young speakers, Sokoto 32, some other states 34. So, and most of these young people are educated. And they really know what they are doing. So are we seeing a shift from 1999 to a better and proactive state assemblies now?
Yes, I think so. I think benefit of experience is that over time, people get to learn. And as our election process is stabilizing, improving, more educated people are throwing their heart into the ring. So I believe it's a positive development. Of course, youth, they have their agitated approach to things. So we have to be very careful. And that's why the point made by His Excellency Governor of Plateau State is very critical. Anything that you want to implement in a multi-religious, multi-tribal, complicated country like Nigeria, there is a need for education. There is a need for seminars, workshops, particularly anything that is trickling down from the federal level. It should not just be a promulgation. It should be backed by capacity building. You should bring experts. They don't necessarily have to come from abroad. We have knowledgeable people in Nigeria. I mean, we started democracy since independence. Of course, interrupted by military interventions. But the reality is that the foundation of governance in this country from the colonial era into when Nigerians took over is democracy. Therefore, there's enough capacity. Of course, USAID, DFID, agencies, external agencies are ready to help us. Because if we have good governance, it makes life easier for them. So that's why they are willing to spend money to help us educate our people. So I will back his submission that the federal government should focus, give proper attention to capacity building in both the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary in our practice of democracy. That, you see, while I was in Kogi State, I never joked with the annual capacity building seminars for our legislators abroad. We leave them to find the university they want to go to for their seminar, calculate the allowances, transportation, give it to the speaker, let them go and do it wherever they like. But I made it important that this is not just a jamboree. Exactly. Go and learn something, come back and improve your own processes in the house.
Was it done that way?
Yes, I did my best. You see, let's also remember that governors have extreme constraint in handling finances. Every local government wants something. So this money is not available as people think. And you were elected by all the local governments in your state. So you must try and touch lives in all these local governments. But sir, I will just touch on the issue of autonomy. Autonomy is good, but it has its own challenges. Again, he has raised many issues about autonomy. As the federal government or the president signed that bill, there is a need for a seminar of speakers, a seminar of legislators from the states across Nigeria to guide them. It's not just the letters of the law, the spirit, the essence, and the objective. Why are we passing this law? Just to give money to speakers? As it says, every month you'll be changing speakers. And there are other implications of doing that. So I think it's important that any law or policy we pass, which has national coverage, must be backed by capacity building so that each state, there is a uniform standard, and that will help the growth of our democracy and development.
All right, thanks. Just before we return to Mohammed Ali in our Kaduna Network Center, the point has been touched on briefly today, and indeed it was also stated in the first two parts of our conversation. Why does it appear to be the case in the Fourth Republic, 20 years on, that perhaps self-preservation is what drives some state governors to be maximum rulers in their domain, emasculating the state houses of assembly, and some would say in most cases the judiciary? Why has that fear persisted? I mean, we had Barabe Musa in 1981 during the Second Republic, one sole incident, and a deputy governor also in Kano. But it would appear that, unless you watch over your back, you most likely, if you don't control the lawmakers, then you are in trouble. What has brought about this mentality? And if you have autonomy, you have all kinds of things. Is that mentality likely to aid, the work of the legislature and therefore the development of the state? The question goes to you first,
Thank you.
and then to His Excellency.
Thank you very much. Well, mutual suspicion, rumor mongering, stories, different perceptions. That's what drives these elements that create conflict. Once you build confidence between the two arms of government, once there is continuous conversation, Governor Lalong is unique. He has both legislative, he has governance experience in the executive, he has lawyer experience as a prominent lawyer in this country. So nothing can surprise him. He's a well-rounded governor. It's not like that in many states. They are, what would I say, reactive members. They are people who just hear stories and they take it as fact without verification, and they start accusations left, right, and center. So I think confidence building, working together, talking outside the office, invite each other for dinner, have a more congenial atmosphere for discussion where the true personalities come out, continuous engagement, explanation. Don't be tired of explaining things. This will engender confidence, and things will move in a better way.
Your Excellency.
Well, part of the reasons that we must also understand where we are coming from. We came from a military regime. We came from a military regime. That was why I said it is very, very important that the legislators themselves must be very, very patient to understand and get educated and appreciate where they are coming from. And in 1999, when we came, it was like very, very tough, because already governors were already seen as military administrators. Yeah, because the moment, so there was no challenge. The moment they came in, some of them were retired military officers, and some had worked a lot with military officers. So there was no need, to them they saw no need for any legislative arm that would be disturbing them at any time. So what they wanted was taking a decision, and that decision is implemented. But I think they were wrong, because in this case, democracy, because the kind of democracy we are operating requires that for every action you take, people will question you, whether rightly or wrongly. All you need to do is to explain, because those people who are elected are representing their constituencies. They are speaking on behalf of their constituencies. So you have to explain to them. Whether you like it or not, you are not a maximum ruler. You are not a maximum ruler. And that concept flowed into the next administration. So it is only this time, you can imagine that out of about 10 or 20 years of the democracy from 1999 to date, it's only this time that we have even agreed to sign the autonomy for the legislature. So we have a long way to go, but we must be very, very patient with ourselves, so that we will not think that as governor today, I behave like a military administrator. For every action I take, I must be very, very conscious that this action is subject to different interpretation by the legislature. And also, at the end of the day, we are also likely to have a dispute. And that dispute will have another interpretation by the other arm of government, the judiciary. So the three of them will have to move together, and confidence building is necessary. For a governor, what you do is that when you bring yourself to law, you humble yourself, the members will follow you. They will follow you. What I sometimes do is that I visit them. Without them knowing, I go to their houses. To imagine that a governor goes to the house of an assembly member, he comes back and he hears that governor was here. Whatever he has against you, it will be subdued.
You think
so? Of course, yes, it's understanding.
That's part
you
of
have
human relations.
You have given him opportunity to be free to discuss with you, and as an ordinary person. But when you sit down there and you close yourself with security, he doesn't have access to you. The next access, because somebody once told me, when he had a motion in one of the houses of assembly, and I said, why did you do that to your governor? He said, I don't have access to my governor. Sometimes if I don't do it, if I did it and he drew his attention, I felt fulfilled. Because that was the only way I could get his attention.
So access is a key component.
Access is also a very key component because you need to be interacting with your members to explain to them. You have dialogue with
but Your Excellency, you know, we'll hope to come back to you. The rumor mill that your brother Excellency also referred to is very active in the political season. Why that is so, it's a matter probably we can explore on another occasion. Yes. There are all kinds of hangers on who just, you know, want to belong, and you say, Your Excellency, you know. All right, now let's go very quickly to Honorable Muhammad Ali. Honorable Ali, there's something that also emerged from the series of conversations that we've had on this topic. That is that good practices at the national level often don't get to be replicated at the subnational level. Good practices, say, in the National Assembly don't get to be replicated. You don't have rigorous oversight in the first instance. There's apparently no stringent application of fiscal responsibility. And more importantly, the quality of lawmaking. It would appear to be, as some observers have said, somewhat perfunctory at the state level. What can be done to ramp up this quality?
Thank you very much, Cyril. The issue of education is key, as I said much earlier, to anything we're going to do as a people and as a legislature. For the legislature to be functional across the states, we should do the best we can to ensure that we elect credible hands, people who are educated, people who will read the Constitution and understand the Constitution, people who will read the standing orders of the House and understand what the standing orders is talking about. But why you bring people who will only be looking at the book or the Constitution, not knowing what Section 4 or Section 58 of the Constitution is talking about, or Section 100 of the Constitution, which mandates the House or gives the House the powers of enacting laws, he wouldn't understand. So until we are able to have members of legislature who can read and write, and not only read, but will understand what they are reading or what the Constitution is talking about, we will not be able to get out of this rigmarole. So the best thing is we should give emphasis to education. And even by the time the educated members are elected into houses, the executive should do the best it can to, from time to time, be organizing functional retreats and workshops where members will sit for a week or two to be educated. Some of the overseas trips undertaken by members of houses of assembly actually is more of a rendezvous. People only go out to visit shopping malls and tourist sites instead of actually in workshops and seminars that will educate them, something that will be to their own benefit and the benefit of their various constituencies. So these, I think, are some of the things we need to do, and quickly too, because going on an overseas trip does not make meaning if we will not reap any benefit from that. We have enough, as the governor rightly said, we have enough resources that we can really sit back here and educate our elected members as to their functions, their responsibilities to the state and their respective constituencies. And on the issue of autonomy, I want to back the position of His Excellency Governor Lalong. There is the need for autonomy for the houses of assembly, but we have to make sure that all houses, all states have Assembly Service Commission, because until we have Assembly Service Commission, if you just give autonomy without having Assembly Service Commissions across the state, certainly there will be fracas from time to time as to the issue of money, because members will feel all the money that comes is in the custody of Mr. Speaker, and almost on a daily basis he will be receiving notes. Please disburse this, disburse that. But if the money is in custody of the Assembly Service Commission, I think there will be less fracas, or the Speaker will face less challenges. But then again, we need to have people who really know what they are doing, people who are steadfast to head the Assembly Service Commission. Otherwise, if we just go because Mr. A was part of my campaign team, so let me appoint him as a commissioner in the Assembly Service Commission, then we're going to have very serious problem. So we need to have people who can stand on their own and call a spade to form part of the Assembly Service Commission in order for us to realize what we really desire.
Much Honorable Muhammad Ali, former minority leader, Kaduna State House of Assembly. He served between 2011 and 2015. Thank you so much for coming on Good Morning Nigeria. We appreciate your contribution. We appreciate your contribution. We appreciate your
all right, we are on the home stretch of this conversation. We have a second topic that I'll be dealing with. We're getting guests from our Lagos Network Center. I was just wondering, just before we wrap all of this up, the suggestions that have been made, in the course of these conversations, they are very well noted. But the point has also been raised as to what effective role political parties could play in ensuring that legislators, that's at the state level, perform their functions the way they ought to perform their functions, plus civil society. Now, the point has also been noted that there is a sense in which governors have become their imperial majesties, and so they also control the political parties, and so that might not be possible. Is it therefore conceivable to have the party at the national level help trickle down the good practice at, say, the National Assembly into the state legislatures for more effective governance at the subnational level? First, Captain Idris Wada.
Yes, thank you very much, Kisli. Yes. I think political parties have a role to play. And as our democracy grows, I think increasingly that role becomes very necessary. For you need to have standards. If you want to progress in life, you must operate according to standards. The parties are platforms under which these candidates competed to come into the legislature. The parties must have guidelines, parameters, expectations. What are you expecting of a legislator? Is he to go there and be like the governor of his own local government or state constituency? Is he to go there and compete with the governor or cause problems for the governor? So if they are educated as to their roles and the need for them to work in a very harmonious manner with the governor, there will be less conflict, yes.
I'm not tempted to ask His Excellency because it might be difficult to stop here because we're going to have to wrap this up now. But very briefly, just to say what parties can do.
I think parties they have a very great role. And you understand that at one time here, the last conversation I had when we were discussing about leadership, I said, yes, each party has its own programs. Each party has its own policies when they're going for elections. And when they get elected, they will also have to promote their programs. They use the legislators to promote their program. It is wrong for a party to come in and say that a different person is occupying that position, so it will be wrong for them to sell their programs. And the other one is the power of recall. That's this power of recall. Unfortunately, I will say that I was also the one that was tested in the country. It was tested on me. When we refused to do the unconstitutional impeachment, I tested recall. I'm the only one that had recall up to the end in the country, where votes were casted and they lost out. They lost out. And this power of recall is very important because that is the power that is also supposed to be used by the parties. Because outside, you elected people on program. If they are not doing your program, there is power to recall them.
Thank you so much, Governor Lalong. Time is not on our side. Thank you so much for coming on Good Morning Nigeria. Governor Lalong is the Executive Governor of Plateau State. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you.
And we also thank Idris Wada. Thank you so much, former Governor of Kogi State. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And we appreciate your input. Mr. Jide Ojo, as always, it's been a pleasure having you on the program.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We'll take a break right now. When we come back, more discussion on another topic.
Chief. Good morning, sir. You are here already?
No,
Now my spirit there, my body there for house. What kind of question is that? Were you not the one that fixed this meeting for 8 a.m.? You are now coming by 10 a.m. and start asking me jab questions.
But Chief, now, I'm sorry. Don't you also go late for meetings sometimes? You know now, African time.
No more African time. And no more pancaking of face during office hours. At the end of the day, we will lose valuable time. We will not make progress. If we want to move this nation forward, we must treat business as business and respect time. Change begins with me.
Thank you, sir. I am sorry. Can we go for the meeting now, Chief?
Better.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture. One Football Confederation, 24 teams, 6 stadiums, 4 cities, 504 African stars, 1 trophy. The Africa Cup of Nations, Egypt 2019 comes alive from June 21 with the showpiece final on July 19, 2019. Watch the 52 matches of the tournament live on Africa's biggest and largest television network, NTA, in partnership with Hot Sports. Be part of the biggest soccer fiesta in the African continent as the Super Eagles go on a bold mission to clinch the prestigious title for the 4th time to the excitement of millions of fans across the length and breadth of Nigeria. For inquiries, please contact Abubakar on 0803-331-0175 and Felix on 0803-308-2375. NTA, you can't beat the rich.
All right, welcome back, and it's still Good Morning Nigeria live at the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Now we're going to talk some tourism, and we are having 2 guests who will be joining us from our Lagos Network Center. First, of course, from the South African tourism, who is the regional manager in charge of West Africa. I would like to welcome Tekiso Rakolajane, is the regional manager in charge of South Africa Tourism, West Africa. And also there with him in the studios, would like to welcome a trade partner with the South African Tourism entity. That's Abiola Lawal. He's of flyboku.com. It's a subsidiary of Ashton and Dave Travels. Gentlemen, pleasure to have you with us on Good Morning Nigeria. And straight away, beginning with Tekiso of South African Tourism, tell our viewers why South Africa as a tourist destination.
Well, good morning and good morning for having us. We are very happy to be here with the viewers this morning. We, as South African Tourism, we are quite eager and very willing this year to increase the number of Nigerians visiting South Africa for holiday. Matter of fact, in the continent, Nigeria is the key country that we've identified as South African tourism, where we would like to increase the number of tourist and business travel visitors to South Africa, which is why myself as the regional manager, I'm now based here in Nigeria, specifically living in Lagos. So our big priority really is to, via the bilaterals between the 2 countries, facilitate the movement of people for holiday and business travel purposes. And I'm here today to engage with the viewers as to why their next summer trip needs to be going to South Africa.
Is South Africa just a tourist, destination for holiday in Africa, or is there so much more to it if you go there as a tourist? What more do you see?
I missed the first part of the question, but I assume the question was really more about the diversity of experiences that one would experience when they get to South Africa. We have quite a diversity of experiences that travelers can experience in South Africa. I can give you the highlights, but my colleague here will share with you the details of what we currently have on offer that is readily available. But we have everything from family experience up in the north of KwaZulu-Natal, where you can spend your time at the beach, go shopping, do water experiences in and around Ushaka Marine. Some people might be preferring the western part of the country, where particularly around the Western Cape in Cape Town, We've got also quite a diversity of experiences there. Mr. Boku will give you the details about some of the packages that he currently has running there, where people can buy those packages and go and experience the beauty that Cape Town has to offer. So there's quite a lot of those experiences, and they vary from, the nightlife and the scenic beauty of Johannesburg, right up to having a wildlife experience either in the Kruger or going to the north into Limpopo or the northwest. I think most of Nigerians would know the northwest, particularly Sun City, which is a big and vast resort that people would have seen a few years back when there was a movie that we partnered with, and it was shot in Sun City. To this day, we still have quite a lot of families that are wanting to go to South Africa to experience that part of the country. So there's quite a lot of diversity of experiences that are available. We've got a lot of packages on our website. People that are looking to buy those packages can visit our website, www.southafrica.net. But like I said, I've got Mr. Flyboku here who will give you the details of what he has readily available.
Thank you very much, Tekiso. Let's bring in our Abiola Lawal to actually speak to the packages that are available for those who might want to visit South Africa as tourists.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Abiola Lawal. I am the MD founder of flyboku.com. Flyboku is an experiential travel and tourism brand, one of the leaders, not just in Nigeria, but Africa. We believe in the African experience, and we're extremely proud to be partnered with South African tourism as a destination for Nigerians to explore their travel and tourism. What we have with South Africa, it's really, like TK said, diverse experiences. We always say Mr. Boku will take you there, and Mr. Boku will bring you back. The idea of taking you there is really, it's not just physical, but it's experiential. Today, if you go to flyboku.com, you'll see a number of packages that we offer in conjunction with South African tourism. We have a package on Durban. We have a Durban experience, 4 nights in Durban in July. It's a phenomenal experience. That includes everything from visa. We help you be able to consult with you to make sure you get a visa. We don't guarantee visa, but we allow you to help consult to make sure you have your visa process very well done. But the visa fee is covered in that. We take care of your accommodation. We take care of the different experiences that TK had mentioned, family, single, sport, outdoor, indoor, shopping, spa experience. One of the things that we have found very interesting about South Africa is that you can actually have multiple type of experience in a single visit. So we have the Durban experience, we have Joburg and Cape Town, 3 nights in Cape Town and 2 nights in Joburg. Again, where you can have different experiences, not just for individual but also for families, and these are very affordable deals. If you go to flyboku.com, flyboku.com, you see a number of our packages there. In addition to that, we always said, look, for us to have a good experience, it's very important to make sure that the packages we put out there must have at least 4 components to them. One, they must be affordable. Everybody is price sensitive, so we think it's important to put affordable packages out there. Second, we say it must be accessible. The accessibility of it in terms of how you get there, from air transportation to ground transportation, all the full experience is what we put together to make sure you have a good experience. The third one is we say it must be reliable. The reliability of it, again, is start from your security, from your comfort, right from when you start the journey from Nigeria to when you're returning. In fact, that's why we say Mr. Boku will take you there, but must also bring you back. And finally, the fourth component of our brand objective, it must be fun. So if you go online, you see Mr. Boku, there's this funny character. It's about making sure that you can unwind. As Nigerians, we work extremely hard. We all know sometimes it could be a very difficult environment, but we must make travel and tourism part of our life. In other parts of the world, travel and tourism has become part of a wellness program, because you cannot work 12 months in a year and not find a way to unwind. So we will have something called Boku credit that allows you to pay small towards your package over time. So I think it's important for Nigerians to obviously work hard. We all work very hard, but also it's time to unwind. And we think that Discover Africa campaign, which we are anchoring at flyboku.com, South Africa is a very good partner in that regard. So I encourage everybody to go to www.flyboku.com or social media at flyboku.com. We have very affordable packages, about 300,000 naira or so on the average, that allow a family to be able to have fun.
Can you please tell us a little bit about the Durban July? What's the package like, and what will be the experience if you go on that trip during the summer?
So for the July experience, so I talk about Johannesburg and Cape Town, for example. That's a different package. And then we have other packages like I just mentioned. The Durban experience in July is from 4th of July to 7th of July. So 3 nights accommodation at a very good hotel, includes daily breakfast, Wi-Fi. So I've told you Wi-Fi is more important than food these days. So make sure you get free Wi-Fi at the hotel. All the tolls and entrance fees are covered under your package. We have ticket to the Vodacom Durban July. Vodacom Durban is like an experience, the festival. It's a very experiential festival that I think is what's going to experience. And then return airport transfer. That's why, again, I said Mr. Boku will take you there, but must also bring you back. So it's really a total experience. And, of course, we take care of your visa fee as well. So right from the beginning, to make sure that we can sort out your visa, but also we'll pick you up when you land at the airport, and then be able to really make sure the traveler have a good experience. But the Durban experience is really more of a festival experience. It's about fun. It's about having a good time to unwind after most of us. I mean, it's already half of the year already. Summer is here, and we've all worked hard. We pray to God to be able to at least go and step out and have some fun and just like rejuvenate our spirit again. So that's the idea of the Durban Festival. It's about a live festival experience, music, food, people, network, and not just for adults, but also for the family and young kids as well.
Well, still with you, Abiola Lawal, and I believe Tekiso can also chip in here. In the southern hemisphere, of which South Africa is a part, this is the winter season. And in fact, June and July are the coldest months. So how will that affect prospective buyers of your proposition to head to that region for their tourist opportunities?
Thank you so much.
All right, unfortunately, well, if Abiola Lawal, if you let me repeat my question. You're talking about the summertime, but in the southern hemisphere, of which South Africa is a part, this is actually winter time. So what likely differentiation might there be? And in Durban, which is part of the area of the Drakensberg Mountain, it snows.
That is true. But that's right deep in the mountain. These are outdoor events more within the city. So it's not necessarily an outdoor mountain event. Yes, you're right. The weather is generally a bit cooler during the summer in that part of the world. But there's a lot of other things to do while you're there. Like I said, there are indoor events, there are outdoor events. The outdoor part of this is a festival. And that festival means there's music, there's food, there are other things to do. So I have been to South Africa a few times myself. I was there even during the World Cup, where I even went further north during the summer to Bloemfontein. And yeah, it's a bit cold on the southern part of it, but generally it's not so cold that it is not unbearable. You know, just one small jacket layer at southern part of particularly towards the end of the day. But generally, I've never seen it be like unbearable. In addition to that, like I said, The other things, one of the things that we do is we tend to do what we call two-city tour events. You can spend 2 nights, for example, in Johannesburg, and have different events there. Same thing with Cape Town. We have a Joburg and Cape Town event as well, still during the summer. So it's not just about Durban, but there are other places that you can go to have a lot of fun between now and end of the summer.
Well, thank you very much. Let's bring it again to Kiso. Kiso, I was just wondering, is the South African tourism industry, is it going still good against the background of sometimes not very complimentary reports, particularly xenophobic attacks?
I think before I get to that issue of safety and security, just to address the issue of summer and the winter, obviously the Southern Hemisphere being winter at the moment, we are specifically encouraging people to go to KwaZulu-Natal and Durban in particular, because right now in Durban, it's very warm and hot. It's the one part of the country that you would, when you get there, you will still believe that you're still in Lagos. So it's a very warm part of the country around this time, and even us as South Africans around this time, that's where we take our holiday, particularly because Joburg and the other parts of the country are pretty cold. So when you do take a summer package, if you take up one of the packages that Mr. Boku has, you are certainly going to have a very warm and hot experience, and you will not be experiencing any of the winter, other than obviously when you land in Johannesburg and connecting your flight to Durban. Coming to the question around, the safety and security, as a tourist destination, we take up the issues of safety and security quite seriously. Matter of fact, it's one of the highest priority focus areas, particularly within our National Department of Tourism. And there are initiatives that are implemented at the national level that are geared towards driving and securing the safety of tourists when they come to South Africa. I can talk about specifically an initiative that is driven by the National Department in partnership with the Tourism Business Council of South Africa, which is an amalgamation of all the operators within the hospitality industry. It's called the Tourism Safety Initiative. And the whole focus around that initiative is to guarantee the safety of tourists when they go to South Africa. So I'm here today to encourage Nigerians to visit South Africa for their summer holiday. And I do assure you that there are measures in place to make sure that you have a quality, enjoyable, but most importantly, a safe experience in South Africa.
Okay, thank you very much there for your comments. And just one last one for Abiola Lawal. Flyboku.com. What will be the hallmark difference between your packaging and sometimes unpleasant experience of tourists, who get packaged from here, who are sold nothing other than airline tickets, and then they are left to their own devices when they get to their destination?
Briefly.
Very, very good question. I'll start by answering that in the theme of and the philosophy of our brand to begin with. When you have a flyboku.com, we say Mr. Boku will take you there, and Mr. Boku must bring you back. Because for us, it's about experience. Travel and tourism is a passion for me. I spent a considerable amount of my career, about 25 years in the U.S., and the first part of that career was in tourism. So I pay attention to all the details. We pay attention to all the details. We've been in the industry for about 15 years. That's number one. Number two, it is extremely important that when people go out there to look for tour partners, they look for partners that have been validated with partnerships such as the one with South African tourism. It is not a joke that we're sitting here together, because there has to be a checklist to make sure that we do this properly. I do this obviously with South Africa, but we do it, Flyboku does it with other specific countries as well. We think it's very important.
Much, Mr. Abiola Lawal from Flyboku.com, a subsidiary of Ashton and Dave Travel. Thank you for coming on Good Morning Nigeria. We also thank Tikiso Rakalojani, the regional manager in charge of South Africa, Tourism West Africa. Thank you so much for coming. And that's Good Morning Nigeria today. Join us tomorrow for another edition. I am Juma Yusuf.
And I'm Kingsley. The Lord will have a lovely day ahead of you.